Good morning, everybody, and what a fabulous lineup of people you've had this morning. So, real pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for that. So let me talk a little bit. Just give you a little bit of background on me. Talk a little bit about Tech Nordic Advocates, but I also want to address, just like Marvin did, the question of a billion-dollar valuation, which is a very important one, and then how we help Nordic and Baltic tech sector startups and scale-ups grow and scale. And thank you for showing our website. I don't have any slides. I think it's all on our website, and let me just talk about it. So just a little bit of background on me. So Jeanette Carlsson, I'm a true Viking, actually. Danish father, Danish mother, Swedish father, British family. So several passports. Taught my baby steps in the tech sector in London over the last 30 years. PwC, strategy consultant, economist by background, took me straight into tech, became a tech leader there, 10 years, global European, UK tech leader, responsibility for Nordics in IBM, ran a US tech company actually in London, and have set up my own tech business as well. So it's kind of, got my hands dirty as well as advising people. And during my time at IBM, I became responsible for startups and made my way into the startup ecosystem and met Russ Shaw, who founded Tech London Advocates to be the grassroots movement behind London's tech hub today, comprising about 13,000 people, and been advisor to UK government in tech and Danish governments and EU and Nordic, and sat on London's Tech City Steering Group, tech. And that was kind of my step into setting up Tech Nordic Advocates in 2015, and as a first offshoot of Tech London Advocates, to really form a grassroots ecosystem across the Nordics and Baltics to join the dots for reasons that lots of the previous speakers have also spoken about. One of which, of course, is to make it much easier to work across the Nordics and Baltics. We're all small countries. We need to create, a bigger level playing field, for startup founders. So that was really the backdrop. And having seen in London what could be achieved when we set up Tech London Advocates to, when we bring the right people together, joining the dots, not just across the region, but across the ecosystem as well, bringing founders, investors together with accelerators, policymakers, etc. So that's the background. We operate in all 5 Nordic, 3 Baltic countries with offices in Copenhagen, Stockholm, and Helsinki. I'm not going to sell any one of the countries to you. What I'm going to sell is that we across the Nordic and Baltics have huge potential, and we've got to nurture that potential. And that's exactly what we're doing across Tech Nordic Advocates. Let me come on to that just in 1 second and address the billion-dollar valuation question. But just before we do, so just also to let you know that our backdrop is our global family. So we are the Nordic arm of Global Tech Advocates. So we operate across 27 global tech hubs, about 27,000 people in our Global Tech Advocates family, which tells you that we have an ability to connect you and connect Nordic startups and scale-ups with anyone, anywhere in the world, really, at a flick of a thumb. And that's extremely important, because if we've got to grow and scale, we need to think big, join the dots across the region, but also have access to international markets for talent, access to capital, know-how, etc. So that's a little bit of background history about Tech Nordic Advocates and Global Tech Advocates. And essentially the way that we operate is to help startups and scale-ups grow and scale through very specific initiatives. So we tend not to be the big events like Slush and Tech Barbecue. We love them, we partner with them, but that's not what we do. We have much smaller events that tend to be very focused on specific themes. We do startup investor matching, talent matching, mentoring program, accelerator, incubator, those kinds of programs that are extremely action orientated and are founded and anchored in our global know-how and network. And so let me just super quickly touch on the diversity agenda, because it's come up a few times. We have amazing female talent, but it's not just about women versus men or any gender. It's about the entire diversity agenda. And yet, when that is said, exactly what Mimi was saying just a moment ago, we're looking at 1.5% max of venture capital funding going to women. And for that reason, we in Tech Nordic Advocates set up and are now running Europe's only international Women in Tech founder program, currently in Denmark and Finland, going to Norway and Sweden soon, with support from European Commission, etc., and very much anchored. We have over 300 people involved internationally in the program as mentors, etc. So it's all on the website, and everybody who is on that Women in Tech, female diversity agenda, please reach out. We would very much like to talk to you and bring you into that program. So that was that bit. Let me just talk really briefly about the exam question, which is this $1 billion valuation. And I entirely agree with what was said just before. In very many ways, it's asking the wrong question. And of course, it's fantastic to have $1 billion valuation, and everybody would love to be a unicorn, and it's a pretty snazzy label to have. But it is asking the wrong question, because all it really takes is to get in front of an optimistic investor or two who thinks that you have growth potential that will justify $1 billion valuation. But actually, that's not really what it's about. Exactly as what Martin said before, that it bears absolutely no resonance or relevance to achieved revenue or profit growth, right? So really what we need to do is to step aside from, I'd like to be $1 billion valuation, into how do we produce scale-ups and truly globally scalable businesses, in our case, in the technology sector across the Nordics and Baltics. Forget the $1 billion valuation label. Yeah, that's a real question. And that starts from day one. And I think if we look at what strengths we have across the Nordic, part of it is both what Anna and Siv talked about, but also the mindset. We are problem solvers, right? And there's a real difference between what we see in other parts of the world to find a piece of sexy technology and say, hey, let's build a business around that, which is a wrong approach, right? What we're very good at in the Nordics is saying, here's some problems that need solving. And let's really stay focused on the actual problems that we're trying to solve. And then we build a business that's technology enabled to solve that specific problem, okay? That's the foundation. And without that foundation, solving a real problem that people feel is a problem, they want to spend money to solve, then they're not going to be able to build a scalable business. And everything, goes from that. And that is about building a scalable value proposition, business model, processes, technology, having the right team, having access to capital and so on. Well, you've got to prove you've got a business that's scalable to start with. That is anchored in a real problem. So I think that's my party piece around the $1 billion valuation. It is wonderful, but it is just a label. And what we need to focus on is how do we put the right conditions in place in order to build scalable businesses. And that takes us back to what we do. So it's not about whether you are Danish, Swedish, Finnish, Norwegian, Estonian, whatever you are. What it's about is you've got a business, you've proven you're solving a problem with technology, and then you need a lot of support, whether it be capital, talent, know-how, whatever it is. That's what we help you achieve, right? And help bring you out into the world, not out of the Nordics. We don't want that, because we don't want to lose all these amazing innovative businesses. But what we want to do is to help bring you beyond the Nordics. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeanette. You talked about Tech Nordic Advocates. It's linked to the global community, the grassroots ecosystem. That's where you work. You also talked about not big events, but more focused, action-oriented programs, meetups. That's great to know. You also talked about diversity. So great insights coming from your address. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we are ready for our next panel. Thank you, Jeanette.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, everyone. Yes. Have a lovely day.
Thank you. And so